No.
Oh,
Hi, everybody. We're technology, you know. Welcome to yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Clink and drink. Do you have something to clink with us, Mary?
I do.
Clink and drink.
Clink and drink. I am your hostess with the mostest, Lola Stardust, and I like to do a little disclaimer. Our show is called Witches and Wine. We do partake in wine, and sometimes we have been known to get a little tipsy from the wine. We have heard that some people don't like that, so we have this wonderful thing that we call the X, and you can just click the X and not watch us. There you go. So... Before we get started, I want to go ahead and turn over our wine introduction to my partner in crime, my husband, Silent as Stardust. Why don't you tell us about the wine?
Thank you, honey. Tonight, guys, I chose a very, very, very special bottle for a very special lady. This is Chateau Giscourx. This is from the Margaux region of France, which is my favorite region of wine in the world. This is a 96-point rated wine, one of the finest wines we've actually had on the show.
Yes.
A bottle typically runs you between 100 and 150 a bottle. Amazing wine.
It's really good.
And the reason I chose this for our guest tonight is this region of wine has a special phrase, and it's known as an iron fist with a velvet glove. And in a lot of ways, that's how I view Mary, because she's the sweetest, most wonderful woman. But man, if shit's got to get done,
Shit
she
will get
gets done. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and step out now and let Lola take it away and introduce Mary.
Yes, so perfect pairing. I told you, Mary, you would not be disappointed. So as our viewers can see, we've got the beautiful Mary Malinski here on camera with us. We're so glad to have her. Mary, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, all the fun things. Mary Malinski.
You want the litany of titles, don't you?
Go right ahead. Here we go. Ready.
Yeah, here we go. Whew. So my name is Lady Mary Malinski. I am a third-degree priestess in the Aquarian Tabernacle tradition and a second degree in the Wise tradition. I am the now official archpriestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church of Canada. Founder of the Circle of the Sacred Muse.
Yep. We got to clink and drink the archpriestess.
Clink
there you
and
go.
drink. Founder of the Circle of the Sacred Muse. Let's see, what else? Creator of Walks Within, which is my site where I have guided meditations.
You're an instructor at the school?
I'm an instructor at the Wolstenstein Theological Seminary, where I also received my Bachelor in Wiccan Ministry. Yay!
Yay!
And Reiki Master Teacher and mom and wife and,
just all
that normal stuff.
Yes. Well, you're just impressive. I know for me personally, I was a student of Mary's, and she taught meditation which I freaking loved, and we're going to talk about her skilled meditations. Greek mythology, which I freaking loved, and Wiccan law, which I can't stand. But I told you that, though. Remember, I was like, I am not a fan of Wiccan law. I find it very dry. But you were great. You made me able to understand a lot of it. I am appreciating it more.
Yes.
So but there's still times when I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like reading. It's just very dry to me. But it's important. And I think it's important to, like, I've taken on passing it on to the coveners in my coven and showing them the different levels of the different laws, because I think it's important to know. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But great teacher, just the class, I'm like, oh, Wiccan law. But I was that way with all of them. I had Alfred my first time, I had Bella my second time, and then I had you. So, I mean, as much as I love the teachers, I was just very like, it was my math class. It was like was like math class for me in high
It's
school.
the class you have to take,
Yes.
not the one you want to take.
Yes. But, you know, it was great. So I wanted to talk about, yes, the recent installation here, folks. She is, our viewers have met Belladonna. So she is like what Belladonna is to the ATC Mother Church in the States. Or in,
I kind of think everywhere, isn't it?
what?
Isn't she kind of like Archpriestess of just ATC in general, not just the States?
Well, ATC's international, so
she's like...
Yeah. So we have ATC Canada, and Mary was recently installed. Is that, would we call it installed?
Installed, yeah.
Installed as the Archpriestess. Now, my question is, when did you? I mean, obviously, a conversation was had. Were you surprised? I mean, what did that feel like when it first started coming up? Was it something you were expecting, or just kind of like, wow, like,
were you being groomed, or...
Yeah, were you being
I was totally being groomed.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the first Hecate Sickle Festival that I went to, which I think was like 2012.
Okay.
Michelle and I traveled together, and we had an opportunity, and we were wormies.
Yeah.
Roomies.
Yeah.
We shared a cabin. Wormies is because I misheard her. She said, hey, roomie. And I was like, did you just call me wormy? So we've been wormies ever since.
Is it the Canadian accent?
I thought maybe it was a Canadian accent thing, so I was like, I think she meant roomies, but she just said wormy. Okay, I'll go with it.
No, it's because I misheard her that one time, and we've been wormies ever since.
Oh,
that's amazing.
I like that.
Can you explain to everyone who Michelle is?
Yeah, our viewers.
Michelle Fabergé is the original Archpriestess of ATC Canada. Yeah, and she took that on, I want to say 1993, 90.
Yeah, I know.
89, 90, somewhere in there.
So 30
years. A long time ago.
Yeah. So you were at Hecate Sickle with Michelle, and did that kind of start things talking, or?
Well, she asked me what my vision was at that point. And I pretty much, I don't know where I got the balls, but I pretty much said, eventually I'd like to do what you do. I mean, not for a long time.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's where I see this path taking me, as into that leadership role.
Yeah.
And so in 2013, I was officially named as Maiden of ATC Canada. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've been being groomed for the position pretty much ever since.
Was there a nervousness that you were being groomed? Did you ever, like, at times feel like, oh my gosh, like, can I do this? Or did you always know that, yeah, I can handle this? I mean, I would be nervous, but I don't know what that's like. So
really, the nervousness had only entered in the last year. So Michelle told me at Spring Mysteries Festival last spring that she was planning to step down and hand the position over to me.
Yeah.
And that's really when the nervousness kind of hit, right? Because I'd known that I was being groomed for this position, but I thought it was still, you know, off in the future sometime.
Yeah.
So when it became real, then it was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Yep,
sure.
Here we go.
Here we go.
That was only 8 years ago, realistically, of when the conversation first
started. Yeah.
To here it is on your plate and going forward. Now, Mary, how long had you been practicing prior to coming in contact with Michelle?
Forever.
Well, I mean, I'd been in contact with Michelle. I met Michelle first, 2006, at my first Spring Mysteries Festival. And I remember that because my youngest son was only 4 months old.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Geez. So I traveled with a girlfriend we heard about it very last minute, like only a couple weeks before the festival.
Yeah.
And we were invited by Pete to come check it out, and that would give us a chance to meet Michelle. And so this girlfriend and I and my 4-month-old baby traveled to Washington to this festival where we knew absolutely nobody.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So, and I definitely decided at that time, having, you know, attended the weekend at Spring Mysteries and been totally welcomed and made new friends and definitely felt like family, right? So I knew this was where I wanted to be. So that was in April of 2006, and in 2007 then was when I started on my official path with ATC.
Okay.
As a postulant. We call it postulants in Canada as opposed to dedicants.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I know that you worked at a daycare, wasn't it, or a Sunday school? You taught Sunday school, isn't that right?
Oh, back when
you were
back in the day.
Yeah,
no,
you were
back in high school.
Yeah, in high school, and you were very. I mean, I just from the information I've heard and read, you were always very spiritual and always looking for some sort of.
Yeah, I remember like one of my earliest spiritual memories is I remember going to church with my grandma, and I didn't want to go sit in the nursery with all the little kids. I wanted to sit out, but they still had like the kids program that they gave, and so she thought I wasn't paying any attention because I spent the whole time like coloring and doing the activities in the kids program, but one of the things in there was asking questions about the sermon, and I had answered them, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you weren't paying attention." Like, oh, I was listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved like the choir at church, and yeah, I taught Sunday school and had a brief time as a born again Christian.
Really?
And that was here in the States, correct?
Brief, yes. That was in Minnesota.
That was before you got married.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It
was brief.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being born again. But I mean, I loved church growing up too. But I was told at a young age to kind of find my own path because I asked so many questions to my parents that they couldn't answer. Because I'm like, why does it say in the Bible this? And that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, go find answers. But I loved church. I loved going to Catholic church with my friends. I loved the whole thing. I loved the smell of the incense and the ritual and everything. So it's always been a part of me. And then you just find your calling with the goddess. When did that happen for you? To hear the goddess and all that, to know that this is what you wanted?
Towards the end of high school. So I was a theater nerd in high school, and I was involved in the productions at high school as well as at the local community theater. And through the community theater, a couple of friends for my birthday gave me The Mists of Avalon.
Oh, yes. That's the there,
yes. So the whole, like, I remember reading it. I didn't read it right away. I think I probably read it towards the end of my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Right before I went into university. And I remember reading it and going, oh my gosh, there's a goddess? Like,
yeah.
How amazing is that? And, you know, I want to go and live in the House of Maidens and learn all of these skills and be a priestess. And yeah, but that'll never happen.
Wow, look at you now.
Ye of little faith.
That's amazing. And
I even, when I was in university, I did an exchange program or a study abroad course. And it was called Literature and Theatre in London. So I lived in London for 10 weeks and took classes and went to tons and tons of shows. I saw 22 shows in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But I had long weekends for my classes. So I actually went to Glastonbury at Beltane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So lucky. Wow. And how old were you again? Like
19, 20?
22?
Yeah. Early
No.
20s.
19, 20. Probably
Yeah.
20.
20. Okay.
20.
Yeah. Wow. And I bet that just probably, I mean, that had to have had a major effect and influence on you.
Oh, it was incredible. I went to Glastonbury with absolutely no plan. Like a couple of the other trips I had pre-booked B&Bs or had a hostel that I planned to stay at when I went there.
Yeah.
But I went to Glastonbury with absolutely no plan. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
had no idea where I was going to stay.
Really?
None.
Just winging it.
And I was just like, okay, I'm going. Like,
Yeah.
I have to go. I have to be there. And so on the bus, so I took a train to whatever town, and then it was a bus in from there to Glastonbury. So on the bus, I met a witch,
Yeah.
another pagan woman, and was talking to her, and it came up. She's like, "Where are you staying?" And I'm like, "Well, honestly, I really don't know. I don't have a plan for that yet. Like, there's a hostel in the next town over, but I don't know how to get there." And she said, "Well, I have a room booked at the inn, but I also had put my name on a waiting list for this B&B, and I got the call that I got the spot at the B&B just before I left, but I haven't canceled my room at the inn. So do you want my room at the inn?"
Oh.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
As a matter of fact.
so we got off the bus and we went to the inn and we booked me in, and they would only take cash. They wouldn't take my credit card.
Oh gosh.
So I paid for the inn, but that was all my cash. And it was a weekend. So now I'm in this tiny little town, because Glastonbury is tiny.
Mm-hmm.
This tiny little town. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just go to the bank machine and get a cash withdrawal, which I'd been doing everywhere else. Yeah, no. The bank machine wouldn't give me money.
Oh,
So she fed me all weekend.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
And then, like, on Monday when the banks opened up again, I went in and got cash and paid her back.
Yeah.
But it was like she took care of me all weekend so that I could
experience
be
this.
there. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. And
oh, that sounds amazing. That is on my bucket list for sure.
List,
yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So when so I know you met David and you moved to her husband David Malinski, and you guys moved to Canada because he's from Canada.
He's Canadian. Yep.
Canadian. So you moved to Canada. Now, sacred, blah, blah, blah. I'll have some more wine. Circle of the Sacred Muse is your coven, basically, that you started.
Yes.
How did that happen?
So after we got married, we lived in Vancouver for several years. And when I first moved to Vancouver, I couldn't work, right? As a visitor. I had to wait till I got my work visa and then my landed immigrant status to be able to work. So, and the internet was still fairly new at that time.
Is this in the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Late 90s.
So but I was quite, enthralled with the Mists of Avalon and this whole goddess spirituality, and I didn't really know what Wicca was at the time still, but I was really intrigued by the goddess. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I checked out whatever books I could find at the library, which I think was really only Drawing Down the Moon. Mm-hmm. And because it's more academic.
Yeah. So it wasn't as quote unquote scary to have.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I had no idea of where to start looking. But I was the equivalent of Googling, right? Because Google wasn't even a thing then.
Yeah.
But the equivalent of Googling Mists of Avalon and whatever I could find. And I found this website called the Sisterhood of Avalon. And through the guest book, their online guest book, I found somebody who lived in Vancouver and contacted her. And she actually happened to run a women's spiritual circle once a month.
Yeah.
So I started attending that and became really close with these women. And it was my total recharge once a month. I had another girlfriend who attended with me, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And then David got work on Vancouver Island. So we were moving to the island, and I was like, what am I going to do without my circle? I'm going to miss my circle so much. Like, it's so important to me. He's like, well, you'll just have to start your own.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know enough. I don't have credentials. Like,
Yeah.
I can't start my own circle.
Well,
so we moved to Vancouver Island, and I started searching for groups in my local area. And I heard about one coven, but it was closed. Like, they weren't taking new people.
Yeah.
And so, like, I went to the local metaphysical store, which was way less than helpful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And was told that I would find people if I went to workshops.
Oh.
But they didn't give me any
Workshops?
hint at how to find out about workshops that were going on.
Yeah.
It was just like, have to go to workshops. And I'm like,
well, where?
Yeah. So I went to a meditation workshop at the community center, and I went to a couple others that seemed kind of, alternative.
Yeah.
And I was asking people, do you know of anything? I really want to get back to regular circles.
Well, yeah.
Because at the time, my oldest was around a year old, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I would have all the greatest intentions of like, okay, the summer solstice is coming up, and I really need to do something for the summer solstice. And okay, I got to keep in mind that I'm going to do something for the summer solstice. And that was last week already. How did that happen?
Yep. Yep.
Right. And so at the couple of workshops and just people that I met, different places, I was asking, do you know of anything? Do you know of anything? And the answer I kept getting was, I don't know of anything, but if you start one, I'll come.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of like, that was the goddess slapping me upside the head and saying, get on it.
Yeah. If you want it, build it, yeah.
Make it so.
Make it so.
Exactly.
And that was when? How long ago was that you actually officially started your circle?
20 years ago.
Wow. That's awesome. And so your circle is, do you do the elevations first, second, third degree? Do you do it under wise tradition?
No, ATC tradition.
ATC. Okay, so can you, because I'm still, I feel like I'm a baby pagan when I talk to all you guys. There's the ATC tradition, and then there's the wise tradition.
Yeah.
Are you talking about ATC Canada tradition, or just ATC all around ATC tradition?
So my understanding is that the ATC tradition is what Pete started with.
Okay.
And it's been taken up in Canada more or less the same as what Pete taught. So we still use the ordains in Canada. We don't use the Book of the Law in Canada. We use the ordains.
Yeah.
We have our standard full moon ritual. We have liturgy. And It is based on British traditional Wicca still.
Yeah. That's kind of figured.
But it's, from what I have seen and experienced, it's like BTW light.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. That's that's kind of what we do.
Yeah,
we're kind of BTW light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your previous tradition was more BTW, but it was still a lighter version.
It was still a lighter. I learned British traditional light, I guess. That's a good way to say it. So yeah.
We're not hard Gardnerian.
No.
Right?
No.
We're not strict Alexandrian.
Nope. Yeah.
We're BTW light.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's like how I consider is it the Lutheran Church? I call it Catholic light. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Or not Lutheran.
No, it's the Episcopalian.
Episcopalian is Catholic light. Yeah. So so you started your circle, and now you're still, obviously, I don't know how you find the time, but you are still, are you the high priestess of your circle? Or
I mean, technically I have handed off the position of high priestess to a long-term friend and priestess, Dawn Sky.
Oh yeah, I know that name. Yeah.
However, I'm still quite involved with it.
Yeah.
And they're all still my students.
Okay.
Is that the transition from going into your new
role as archpriestess? Are you trying to kind of
delegate more responsibility?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So circle will always be your baby, but you're kind of handing the baby off to a new mom to take care of that baby.
Right.
So you can focus on your archpriestess.
Yes.
Is that I know you're excited about being archpriestess, and we'll talk about that, but is that a little bittersweet to do that, maybe? Or is it just like it has to happen, so...
There's a little bit of bittersweet. I mean, as I definitely want to support Dawn in her leadership.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and I know that I need to learn how to delegate better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think we're both going through some transition and finding out where that line.
Yeah. And but that's what's so great about how we do our circles. I mean, not all circles are like this, but I know from my experience and the people I know, it is about kind of handing off the torch or the baton or however you want to call it. And sitting back and knowing that you've done well and that you can see that it's going to be taken care of. I mean, I think that's great, and I think that's so wonderful for our future and to keep that going.
Well, you're training your other coven mates and disciples, or whatever you want to call them, acolytes, to be clergy, and you can't let them learn clergy without doing it.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
It's I've seen Lola step back with some of us elevating in our coven.
Yeah.
And having to let us adopt more roles and do more things and being more administrative instead of teaching. Yeah,
because I mean I've got wonderful teachers in my coven, and it's a great lesson for me, and I like to pick people's brains about that. Because passing the torch or delegating, that's been a hard one for me, because I'm very much as I'm like, let's go. I'm very particular. I'm a Capricorn. So I'm very particular about how things are done.
Regimented.
There's a regiment.
Well, I get that. I mean, I'm a Pisces, so I should be pretty wishy-washy, but no way.
Yeah. But do you know,
like, it has to be done a certain way.
Do you know what your rising sign is?
Libra.
I can see that. Yeah, that's
your sister.
Yeah, Libra. Most Libras I know they're pretty. So that's how you do come across very Libra-esque, because it's very much about
you like to take charge.
You like to take charge, and I've done readings. I told Mary this story, and I love to share it. So
already knows the story. What are you gonna tell?
So, because I don't, I only knew Mary through school, being my teacher. I didn't really spend a lot of time with you. I think as time has gone by, we've been in staff meetings, we've worked together, so I've gotten to know you better. But I was just always like, I don't really know Mary well, and I was very intimidated by you. And at Hecate Sickle a few years ago, she asked for a tarot reading, and I'm like, I was so freaking nervous. I don't know. I forgot how to speak English all of a sudden. Like, and I was like,
it's a card.
I'm like, card, yeah, I was so nervous. And I told everyone, because I did readings for Bella. I did a reading for Dusty once. Like, I'm okay with people with my readings. I'm good at my readings, but that, I was just like, bleh. It was just, I couldn't, and she was like, she knew what I was trying to say, and she's like trying to help me along, and I'm like, I really am a good reader, Mary, I swear. That's the thing, though. That brings me.
What you just have that commanding presence.
You have a very commanding presence,
and it's not in a bad way. It's very comforting, but it's very.
You know what you want.
Yes, you don't want to be the one that tips the apple cart and Mary notices. And
it might be your height too. You're a very tall woman, and that can be.
I'm not petite.
And that's that when you walk in, it's like there's Mary. So, but this is what's so great about things like this, like doing the show and working together and whatnot, and being part of the ATC. It is a family, and we are all, no matter what level we are at, it's very much like we're here to help each other. We're here to support each other. And so I've learned a lot by just watching and listening and seeing how you do it, or how Bella does it, or how Terry Riley does it. I mean, these wonderful people in the ATC, and it makes me feel more comfortable. So for you being on the show right now is awesome. I was very surprised you wanted to be on the show, because I thought, well, we're so lowbrow, and Mary's so.
We've seen Mary let loose a little bit.
We do, yeah.
And so it's when it's.
I am a person.
I know.
But a lot of our experiences with you are in festival modes, or so forth, or class mode, where shit's got to get done. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah, and so. We've seen the other side of you when you're not in festival mode, and how relaxed you are, and that's why I say this regional and style of wine was perfect for you.
It, like you said, what was it? The iron fist with the velvet glove.
Yeah, it's an iron fist with a velvet glove.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, it's we're getting to know you, and it is we're all human. We are infallible or fallible. Fallible,
yeah.
Not infallible.
Well, maybe speak for yourself.
Well, I like to think I'm infallible, but no. So,
she knows better. She's graded your stuff.
Just be quiet. She had to tell me to stop talking a few times in class. I know, big surprise. Anyway.
Well, I actually appreciated when you came to our coffee cauldron, and I was like, and you shushed.
I did?
Yeah, because you and somebody else were like dominating the conversation, and I was like, okay.
Hey, can you teach me that?
Oh, be quiet. So anyways, what I want to talk about next, enough about me. Let's talk about you, Mary. I know that's what this is supposed to be. I want to talk about, I had mentioned meditation, and you
are amazing.
You are so good at it, and I have used what you have taught. I was able to write meditations before. Meditations are very easy for me, but I still use your guidelines. I use the way you visualize. It's just great. So when did you realize that when did that start? When did you start being the meditative expert, I guess, or how did that come to you?
Well, it started back when I started running my rituals. The only experience I had was the rituals that I'd been attending in Vancouver, which were a women's only circle, and they were like 2.5 hours long. It was a long evening where we created sacred space, and we always did a meditation, and we always did some kind of craft and chant to raise energy, and shared tea and cookies or whatever. So they were long evenings. And that was the only experience I had. So when I was creating my circle on Vancouver Island, I based it off of that, because what else did I know, right?
Yeah.
And so the first year that I did rituals, I got a goddess oracle, and basically picked 12 goddesses that I was going to learn about and do rituals over the next year, and assigned them each a month ahead of time, which was kind of interesting as the year unfolded, going, okay, how does this goddess fit with this time of year? Because right? So it was a great learning experience for me. It pushed me to learn about those goddesses. And as I worked with them over the year, I looked for meditations to go with the lessons that I was learning from these goddesses. And I couldn't always find things that necessarily fit with what they were teaching me. And so I started writing my own. And through feedback from the women who were attending the rituals, I tweaked my style.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I found my voice.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess a lot of the meditations that I wrote were really channeled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's, Goddess is saying, this is what I want people to know, or this is what I want them to experience.
Yeah.
And, but it was through their feedback that I developed my opening, which is the same for all of my meditations.
Yep.
And kind of got my rhythm and my timing down. And even, back in those early days, they were like, you have such a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is so soothing. You should record these. And I was like, how am I going to have money to record? Like, I had no job at the time. I was a mom with little kids.
Yep.
Not going to happen. So all of the meditations, though, that are on my site came out of ritual. They were written for a ritual.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we're gonna list it when we upload our this video to our YouTube, but it's walkswithin.com. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and put that in our description so people can find you. Your meditation, I think the first one I attended was actually at a Spring Mysteries. It might have been, or maybe it was at Hecate Sickle.
Yeah, it was a Hecate because I have not attended any.
You did. That's right.
I've heard hers online. But
Yeah.
I've never seen one in person.
So
gotcha.
Did we go? Because my first Hecate Sickle, was it 2012 too? You said your first one was 2000.
Yours was 13.
Are you sure?
Because we went in 15 for the first time to Mysteries. It was 2 years after.
No, it was. When you went to the Hecate Sickle, do you remember what their theme was? The first one you went to, do you remember?
It was early, so they still had, I think it was the year they had the Egyptian path.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay, so, yeah.
Yours was the next year.
Mine must have been the year after. The one I went to was the walk with the gods, or
the Garden of the Gods.
Yeah, Garden of the Gods. Yeah, that was the first one I went to. But I think you did a workshop where you did meditation Inanna, right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious!
You and your Inannas and Arishki.
Oh my gosh! Yes, that is what.
Yeah, see, there's
oh, look at that! Yes. Awesome. So
Clink and
drink on that.
Yeah.
I love it. That's Arishka, right?
There's debate whether it's Arishka or Inanna.
Okay.
But it's not Lilith.
It's a sister. It's one of the sisters.
It's one of them.
Yeah.
So yes, that meditation is what, first of all, got me really interested in Inanna and Arishka, and really got me interested.
She came back just yapping about it.
Oh
for weeks.
God, yes, that was a really good one. Yeah, I thank you so much for that. That influenced a lot of my craft and how I do things. So thank you so much.
Yay.
Yes, we could talk forever about Inanna and Arishka with you, but that could be another show. We could talk about Sumerian, and That
We
would be
could.
great. I would love
we
that.
we could do Dee Dee talk with Mary Malinski
Yeah,
because
well, she's Greek
Yeah.
stuff is like second nature to her, but Sumerian too. I want to get to the ATC-Canada,
Okay.
and you know, what is it similar to? I mean, obviously it's ATC, so it's going to be similar, but I've never seen any pictures of the Mother Church. Is there a Mother Church location? Is there? Okay. So is that something that you're working on, or how? What is that?
It's definitely one of my goals. I
Okay.
would love to have property where we can. I mean, big dream goals is a property where we can, not unlike the Mother Church, can have our own festivals and you know, and is as self-sustainable as possible.
Yeah.
Right, where we grow a lot of our own food. Fresh water is a must for me.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I can have a labyrinth as well.
Oh,
You know,
that's awesome. Yeah.
big dream.
No, we have
Yeah.
the same big dreams. We have a tiny house, but we own the house, and if we come into more money, which might happen, we do want to move away from the city. And how Spokane is set up is you can move 30 minutes and be in nature and stuff.
Deep into
nature. That's why I love where we live, because 30 minutes away, any location you can get away. So we want to do that and have
festival space
and
whole Mother Church for us,
like a Mother Church for us, Children of the Crossroads main church, you know. And but, so yeah, because I was curious. I was like, well, I've never seen pictures of a Mother Church. And
Michelle and Eric used to hold rituals at their home. They had a farm in Duncan, which is still on Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
And they did hold rituals at their home for quite a long time. And had quite a large number of people coming. However, what started happening was that people would come and attend. They wouldn't donate. So many people were coming at one point that they had to rent porta potties because because their house had one bathroom.
Yep.
It's a septic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they rented a porta potty and they got like $20 in donations.
Oh.
And nobody stayed to help clean up.
Yeah.
And nobody was stepping up to help run rituals, and nobody was, you know, they wanted to be entertained. And and that's when Michelle said, enough, I'm not here to entertain you. Wicca is not a spectator sport.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, that and it's hard to reach that point and try to sound like that you're not being, you know, money hungry. And that's the thing that's so hard about what we do is we don't make money. It is based on donations. It is being in clergy and doing what we do, it can be very thankless, you know, but we're not doing it for the spotlight or for that. We're doing it because it is a calling.
We're not televangelists.
No.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here we're trying to do for the real reasons of what we believe and what our faith is. And, you know, we want to be able to support ourselves eventually, but we're not looking to get rich off of other people. We're looking to support other people in ways we can and hope to get return support. And
that's hard to do. And so to see that even on a bigger scale of ATC Canada, that even that, I mean, that is a problem that's a lot of places, a lot of pagan gatherings, and a lot of we don't get enough donations. I don't know if this will put you on the spot, and if it does, I'm sorry, but what do you think? Why do you think that is? Is it because are most pagans poor? I don't know. What is it?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I'll
let you answer, Mary.
Well, I think there's the stereotype of the poor pagan.
Yeah.
Right. Of that, I don't have money for that. And to be fair, I think that our spirituality as a quote unquote fringe spirituality attracts a lot of people who live other fringe lifestyles, whether that is, you know, somebody who is a self-employed and kind of takes little contract work here or there, whether that is kink or LGBTQ, right? We intersect with a lot of those fringe communities.
It's the subcultures, the ones that aren't as quote unquote accepted into mainstream. So
what society views as misfits, where it's just eccentrics or different mindsets.
Yeah.
But if people don't want to, you know, people who don't want to fit the mold of a bigger, more dogmatic religion probably don't fit the mold of our dogmatic society either.
Yep. Yeah. That's
right?
I never thought of that way, but yeah, that makes perfect sense because we all have our views. A lot of us have views on, and this is me, and I have to work on this. This is shadow work I got to do, but it's about money, my relationship with money, my relationship with spirituality and money, my relationship for taking money.
I'm like halfway done writing that course.
Oh, are you writing a course on that?
Yeah, it's called The Elements of Abundance.
Ooh.
And through the elements, it explores our relationship with money, because there's this big belief out there that you can't be spiritual and rich.
Yes.
And I don't believe that.
Right?
Yeah.
That if you are spiritual, then you must eschew the material things.
Yes.
Right? And live a life of austerity and poverty, and I don't buy that.
I don't buy it either. And that was actually one of the things that I remember my previous coven, as much as some people may not agree with a lot of what my elders in that previous coven did. One of the things that I was told was, this is not, you need to have your material, because they were very concerned about having your material plane worked out. It doesn't mean they didn't want
you have to have a stable earth altar.
Yes, exactly. And that made me think very differently about what we do and my relationship with money and whatnot. I'm really excited that you're writing a course on that. Is that for the
seminary?
School?
Yeah.
I've
actually taught it as an independent workshop course, quite a number of years ago, but now I'm working on making it an elective for the seminary.
Oh my goodness. So as an alumni, I hear I can just attend courses, not to be graded, but just to attend. I might do that.
Just to get a little learned?
Because that's something I need to work on, my relationship with money and spirit.
And I think we need to debunk this belief that, well, the stereotype of the poor pagan, right?
Yeah.
That we are all nature-loving hippies who don't buy into capitalist ideals.
The man.
Right?
The man.
Which, you know, there's something to be said for that too. However,
yes, I want to go naked, but I want to have money to fall back on.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to be able to go to festival,
yes.
And I want to be able to enjoy myself.
Yes,
and I want to be able to buy the shinies and the pretties and not have to worry about whether I'm going to pay the rent next month because I did that.
And supporting your fellow pagans.
And supporting your fellow pagans, because we do have a lot of, and you're the same. I mean, you hold a booth at what is it, the pagan? What is it that you do your booth at? You have your booth at a lot of places in Canada.
You're at a psychic fair regularly.
Psychic fairs or what?
Yeah, I read tarot and have my guided meditation CDs at a lot of different spirit fairs, psychic fairs here on Vancouver Island. My circle, as our big fundraiser, we hold 2 of them a year. And the money that we get from vendor registration that's our major fundraiser every year. But I also, a few years ago, I was laid off for the summer from my full-time job, and I am the main income earner for my family at the moment. So this was a huge blow, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to support my family? And so I went out on a limb and got a booth at the local farmers market and read tarot at the farmers market on Sundays.
Yeah, yeah. And you make your oh, look at, I've got a thing about our staff meeting coming up. Let me X that out.
Yeah.
Viewers, me and Mary have to go to the same staff meeting after this. Isn't that important? I'm sorry. Can you pour me some more wine real
Some
quick?
big wigs here.
So, but this is a really great topic too. Is fundraising and that relationship, because I just had one of the elders in our community ask that someone that brings a lot of people to Spokane area to do workshops, and he ends up paying out of his own pocket. And he was asking me today, because we talk a lot, and he's like, I got to figure out a good fundraiser. So fundraising, I think that's important, and I think people relate to it if they know where the funds are going. You have to be very transparent with some, because there's cynical people out there, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, the psychic fairs that we do aren't just, they're for the broader community, right? Not only is it for everybody to have access to local psychics and crystals and beautiful handmade jewelry and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's also, for me, it's about creating abundance for the vendors.
Yes.
Right? Like, I want it to be a win-win situation, right? So we always want to have enough people coming through the door that it makes it worthwhile for the vendors to be there for the weekend.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also that for our circle.
Well, they're gonna continue to show up if they're getting the business, which in turn helps you get your funds to support what you guys are working.
Yeah.
It's it's a glove in hand concept where they just kind of feed each other, and as long as both sides are supporting it, it's a fair deal.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we wrap up, what are your goals? What's your vision for ATC Canada? What do you want to do?
Well, my short-term goal is to get charitable status.
Okay.
We don't have charitable status in Canada, like the U.S. has the 501c3.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the equivalent here in Canada.
Oh,
yet.
I did not know that.
Yet.
Interesting. Yeah.
So we are a not-for-profit society right now that is primarily provincial, and so we're working on our application for that federal status so that we can issue tax receipts for people for the donations that they give us.
Great. Yeah.
Which would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And then that also gives us the option to be able to apply for grants and, kind of reach a different level of fundraising than we're able to achieve right now. So that's my short term.
Yeah.
That's my short term. My longer term goal is to build connections with other small groups and organizations across Canada. Whether they become affiliates of the ATC or not, that's not, I just want to build those connections.
Yeah.
And so if someone calls us and says, or if one of my people is saying, I'm moving to Manitoba or I'm moving to Ontario, can you connect me with someone? Yeah. I can say, yes, go talk to these people. These are good people, right? Yeah, whether they're connected directly with us or not, that's not important, but just that we have that cross-country connection.
Yeah, and that's a good.
And I've started connecting with groups across the country.
So are you guys mostly BC based with everyone you work with now, generally?
Primarily. Yeah. There are a few people in Alberta, but it's not an active circle. We did also have connection for a while with Ontario, but that's kind of drifted away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are you planning on, does ATC Canada, do you have like a goal of like doing a festival for Canada, for pagan Canadian pagans? I said pagan Canada. Gosh, I've had wine. Canadian
I would like
pagans,
to
are
have-
you going to do something, wanting to do something like that?
I would like to have a festival.
Yeah.
Trying to time it with ATC International Festivals is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
However, yeah, it's definitely something that I'm looking into.
Yeah.
But part of that is a human resource issue as well, right?
Yeah.
I can't put on a festival by myself.
Oh God, no.
And-
Yeah. God, and why would you want to?
That's a lot of work.
And it was only a few years ago that I finally had built up a stable group of people to run a pagan pride.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a one-day event.
Yep. And I don't want to rush, but we are coming up on our hour. I have one more question, and I hope it didn't slip my mind. Oh, your installation online. We did the online Spring Mysteries, which went wonderful. From what I saw, you were very touched. It was. Can you tell us how that went? How that felt being online? It was a little different, I'm sure. Yeah.
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 I definitely had some mixed emotions about it.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I'm the first one to have a ceremony like that online.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody else was like, it was like the Queen, right? When she was first televised, she was the first one to be televised for her installation as Queen, right?
Yeah.
So, and to have all of those elders present and sharing their wisdom with me, that was, I was very touched. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The mixed emotion part came really the next day.
Mm-hmm.
When I woke up the next morning and was like, I did not get to directly share that with my community.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get, there's this hole that was supposed to be filled with a whole bunch of hugs.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
You couldn't feel all the loves.
I heard you got the transcript though
you felt the loves, but you didn't get to feel the loves.
But I think it's that are.
And I didn't even get to read I didn't read the comments until Sunday afternoon, right? So it was 2 days later before I got to read the comments.
Yeah.
And part of that was deliberate. I could have been reading the comments as they came in, but also at the very beginning, I started reading the comments and was like, I can't do this. I'm going to cry.
Well, I mean, and that's understandable too, because you had to kind of, it did present itself in a way that you had to give kind of one-on-one this way and one-on-one that way. So you needed to be present in the moment. So,
and
but
you had
the other
notice that weekend.
The other really important part for me was that there were people who were able to be there and be witness to it that wouldn't have been able to make it to festival for one reason or another.
And that's what I was going to say.
That was pretty powerful and important to me, that all of those people who I love and care about were able to be there and be witness to it without necessarily having had to come to Washington and attended festival.
They would have missed out otherwise. So that within itself, we are very blessed to have this technology. But it was great. The whole Spring Mysteries was intense. It was great. It was great. We loved it. And your installation was very emotional, and it was a big deal. And I'm so proud of you, Mary, and I'm so proud to know you and share this with you. And I'm really happy that you were a guest here. I hope that I didn't talk too much. I hope I let you talk. I try. I'm learning.
Well, I will say that it was an honor for both me and Lola to see your installation.
Yes.
We obviously would like to see it in person, but just to get to experience it with you and see your expression and how much it meant to you.
Yeah.
It definitely came through. This is what your calling was and is, and it was awesome to see you get to achieve those life goals.
And we can't wait to see you in person when this is all over with, and you're gonna get so many
You get all the
so many hugs from everybody. You better be prepared.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, we better get going because we do have a meeting we have to go to. So I want to thank Mary so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. We will if you want to come back and we can talk about
whatever you want.
Sumerian stuff. I would love some Inanna and Ereshkigal stuff. I think that would be great.
We can talk more about this poor pagan ideology.
Yes,
the poor pagan concept would be an amazing show because
it comes up a lot.
Yes, it is a frequent conversation, and
we are poor pagans.
Well, no, but it's a lot of comments that we get for this show.
Yes,
people reaching out to us that are followers and viewers of what can they do as a poor pagan.
Yes, and I think changing that attitude.
I think first of all we have to get rid of that concept that we are poor pagans.
Poor pagans. You're right. I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm not gonna call myself a poor pagan anymore. I'm gonna call myself a pagan that jumps over obstacles. There you go.
We're pagans on the rise.
We're pagans on the rise. There you
go.
Well,
there you go.
Before we go, if any of our viewers would like to email us or have any questions or would like to be on the show or suggestions, you can email us at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
What was that again?
That's crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Mary Malinski. I love you. Thank you for the wine. This wine is absolutely amazing, and like you. And remember, everyone.
Maybe next time we see you in person, I might have to bring a bottle.
We'll bring this bottle, yes. Remember, everyone, be kind to one another, walk with the goddess, and until next time, blessed be, and clink and drink. Clink.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. We love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye. I don't know how to stop the recording.
That one.
Oh my gosh, I'm clicking it. Stop recording. There we go. Yes, I want to stop recording.